Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into something really profound, the psychology of people who have just gone through too much. We're going to look at what happens when you've carried a burden for way too long, how your mind actually adapts to survive, and maybe most importantly, what that quiet journey back to feeling safe really looks like.
So, let's start with a moment that so many of us have been through, but almost no one ever talks about. See, it's not some big dramatic thing. It happens much later, when everything finally gets quiet. Maybe you're sitting on the edge of your bed or staring out the window on a bus. Just this moment of total stillness.
And right there, in that quiet, something just gives. It's not a breakdown, not in the way you see in movies. It's more like a silent internal collapse. Imagine a bridge that's been holding up this immense, invisible weight for years, and it just finally buckles. It's like your mind is whispering, almost saying, "I'm sorry, but I can't hold all of this anymore." Now, this quiet collapse, it's so important to understand this isn't a failure, not at all. It's actually a protective mechanism. It's your mind's way of stopping a complete shatter. Think of it like a controlled fold, designed to protect what's left after you've spent years and years just bracing for the next hit. So that leads us to our next big idea, the invisible armor our minds build to get through all this. And let's be clear, these aren't just personality quirks. Nope, these are some seriously sophisticated and costly adaptations that we learn under immense pressure. Okay, so you see this a lot. What people on the outside might see as you being calm is often something else entirely. It's a quiet numbness. Your nervous system is basically saying, whoa, this is too much, and it just turns the volume down on everything to avoid an overload. And that's the key difference here, right? Calm is an active presence. It's a choice to feel things safely. Numbness, that's an absence. It's a survival response that stops you from feeling anything at all. And again, this is not a character flaw. It's just your brain creating a safe distance from feelings that are just too overwhelming. It's kind of like your brain going into low power mode, just holding back the floodgates until it knows for sure that it's safe to let go. Another piece of this armor is, well, it's a kind of wisdom, but it's a very specific kind. This isn't the wisdom you get from just living a long, peaceful life. No, this is what we call extracted wisdom. It's maturity that wasn't grown gently. It was ripped out of chaos, learned by having to navigate one emotional minefield after another. So what does that actually look like? Well, it means you learned how to do things way before you were supposed to, like learning to monitor everyone else's mood before you even checked in with your own, or learning how to comfort adults when you were still a kid yourself. You became an expert at translating silence, tension, slam doors. You got so perceptive because life just didn't give you any soft places to land. And all of this constant adapting, it leads to something called hypervigilance. Basically, your brain's alarm system gets stuck in the on position. It becomes an expert at spotting danger. And pretty soon, it's not just scanning for real threats, but for potential threats, remembered threats, anything that could possibly happen. And this is so key. This isn't you being too sensitive. It's about having a brain that became too prepared. Honestly, it's kind of a survival masterpiece, built under extreme pressure. It's a brain that learned how to sense a storm coming, even when it's a perfectly sunny day. Okay, so we have this armor, right? It's incredible, it's protective, but man, does it carry a profound weight, especially when it comes to relationships. The very things that kept you safe back then can become the biggest barriers to the peace you're trying to find now. For someone who's been through too much, love can feel like this beautiful but terrifying risk. Getting close to someone can feel, well, dangerous. And it's not about the person right in front of you. It's because your nervous system has this deep memory that connection can be unpredictable. So you don't relax into love, you brace for it. And this often shows up in our attachment patterns. You might be avoidant, pulling away because distance just feels safer. Or you might be anxious, always expecting things to fall apart because instability is what you know. Or you could be disorganized, which is this really intense push-pull of, I crave this, but I'm terrified of it. The bottom line is, you want love so badly, but you just don't know how to feel safe inside of it. And here's the thing about being on high alert all the time. It leads to this deep, quiet, emotional exhaustion, and it's the kind of tired that sleep just doesn't fix. You start to create distance, not because you don't care anymore, but because caring has become just too heavy to hold. It's not you breaking down. It's you trying to survive until you can finally feel again.
There's also this other layer of grief, isn't there? It's grief for the version of you that you had to leave behind. You know, the one who trusted easily, the one who felt light, the person who could laugh without scanning the room first, who didn't have to analyze every single silence for some hidden meaning.
So, with all of that, how do you even begin to heal? Well, the answer isn't about being stronger or just pushing through. It starts by gently, patiently teaching your nervous system that the war is over, that it doesn't have to brace for impact every single day. And there is a path forward. It's a process, and it has steps. First, it's just about awareness, gently noticing how your body reacts without judging it. Then, regulation, using your body with things like grounding or breathing to calm your brain. The third step is huge, reparenting, giving yourself the safety and permission you never got. And finally, building new connections, learning to trust people who feel genuinely safe, not just the ones who feel familiar. And the most hopeful, incredible truth in all of this is something called neuroplasticity. It means your brain can actually change. It can adapt again. It adapted once for survival, and it can absolutely adapt again. But this time, for peace. Think about that. Its job is no longer to brace, but to breathe. Not to just endure, but to finally live. And then, after all that work, there comes this moment on the journey. It's a moment when you look back and you realize that everything you survived hasn't just been healed. It has shaped you into something incredibly profound. You haven't just recovered, you've transformed. Your survival becomes insight. Your pain becomes this incredible compassion. You become that steady presence for other people. You're the one who understands what they're going through without needing all the details, because you've been in that storm too. You become a lighthouse for others. And that's the ultimate reframing, isn't it? A lighthouse, it shines because it remembers the darkness. Your depth, your wisdom, your compassion, it's not there in spite of what you went through. It's there because of it. So we want to leave you with this one last thought to carry with you. What if your life is no longer about just enduring? What if it's about creating? What if the next chapter isn't about bracing for another storm, but about creating your own gentle weather? About building connection and creating a future that is finally wonderfully softer than your past?